AITA for showing no sympathy for my brother and my stbex-wife after the loss of their baby and for refusing to let my parents talk to me about it. You ever reach a point where you just feel nothing? Not sadness, not anger, not even satisfaction, just this weird hollow numb? That was me, watching my ex-wife's name pop up on my phone again. 14 unread texts, some all caps, some just ellipses. All venom. Let me back it up. I'm 37. I've been married for 10 years. 3 kids, 9, 7, and 4. Great kids. Smart, kind, and way too observant for their own good. My soon-to-be ex-wife and I used to be tight. We were that team against the world kind of couple, or at least I thought we were. For the last 2 years, things started feeling off, like she wasn't cold, just fake warm. We'd talk and she'd smile and nod like a teacher listening to a kid talk about their dream to be a T-Rex when they grow up. Supportive but totally checked out. I'd ask if something was wrong. She'd say, "I'm just tired," or "Things will feel normal again once the kids are all in school." I believed her, because I'm a goddamn idiot. What I didn't know was that behind my back, she was telling her friends and her entire family that I was lazy, inattentive, emotionally absent. The works. Meanwhile, I was cooking, doing drop-offs, bedtime stories, PTA meetings, and still feeling like a stranger in my own house. Then the bomb dropped. One day I got a DM from my brother's ex. Let's call her Carla. She sends me a photo. It's my brother kissing my wife outside his apartment. Not just a peck. We're talking full-on, I've wanted to do this for years kiss. Carla writes, "He dumped me because I was paranoid. Turns out I wasn't crazy after all." I didn't confront my wife right away. I waited. Let it cook. Needed to be 100% sure before dropping the nuke. Because once I did, there was no coming back. 2 days later, my wife tells me she's pregnant. I literally laughed. Not out of joy. Out of absolute disbelief. Like a villain origin moment. Because we hadn't had sex in 2 years. I don't mean once or twice. I mean zero. Nada. I'd tried, she always shut it down. So either the baby was a miracle from the Holy Spirit, or it was 100% my brother's. And the kicker? She had the audacity to say, "I don't know who the father is." Bitch, what? Even my brother knew. He never denied it, just gave me this stupid half apology like, "We didn't mean for it to happen." Oh, okay. So you accidentally fell into each other's bed sheets multiple times? Cool. I filed for divorce the next day. No discussion. She moved in with my brother and tried to take the kids. Nope, not happening. I went scorched earth mode. Got a lawyer, showed the court how the kids' schools were 3 hours from where she moved. I got temporary custody. She gets weekend visitations. That's it. At this point, my parents were pissed, but not at me, at them. My mom even cried when I told her. My dad told my brother to never step foot in their house again. I thought, maybe I still have a family. But that didn't last, because a few months later, they started visiting her. Then they started calling him. Then my mom says, "It's complicated. They're having a child. That's your brother. We can't abandon him." I said, "Fine, but if you bring them up around me or the kids, we're done." They agreed. Sort of. Fast forward. A few weeks ago, she gives birth. Stillborn. I found out through a mutual friend who saw her post on Facebook. The caption was something like, "Our baby boy taken too soon." I didn't react. I just scrolled past. Then the text started. Long paragraphs. From her, from him. Saying I cursed the pregnancy with my anger. That keeping the kids away caused her stress. That I was to blame for their loss. One of her messages literally said, "You lost your son too." As if I'd ever believed that baby was mine. I didn't reply to a single one. Then my parents showed up. Just walked into my place like it was still Christmas morning in 2012. My mom looked like she'd been crying for days. My dad looked like he wanted to say something but was scared I'd yell. They said, "We came to tell you about the baby." I said, "I already know." My mom asked, "Have you talked to them?" I said, "No." Then my dad kind of gently said, "Don't you think maybe just this once you could offer some words? It was their child." I snapped. I said, "You think I'm gonna cry over their baby? After they destroyed my family? After they tried to take my kids? After she used a pregnancy to manipulate me? You want me to care because their betrayal didn't come with a happy ending?" They looked stunned. I added, "You want to grieve? Do it somewhere else. Don't bring this to me. I'm not your therapist. I'm not your confessional." They left. Haven't heard from them since, until yesterday. My mom texted asking if I was still planning to be heartless and if I'd go to the service. I said, "No, don't ask again." So now I'm here. My best friend said I'm a legend for holding the line. My coworker said I should have gone for closure. And my mom says I'm becoming a cold-hearted monster. I don't know anymore. I'm not angry. I'm just done. But, ATA? So I didn't go to the funeral, obviously. But I did show up. Kinda. Here's what happened. After my mom texted me about the service and I said I wouldn't be there, I thought that would be it. End of conversation. They'd mourn, cry, and move on with whatever messed up soap opera they've built around this tragedy. But no, my dad called. Twice. Then again, left a voicemail, which he never does, saying, "I know you don't want to come, but I think you need to. For your own sake, you're still part of this family." That last line, "You're still part of this family." It hit different. Like, which family? The one I built with a woman who cheated on me with my own brother? Or the one I was born into, who now pretends they didn't completely betray me by choosing the cheaters over the betrayed? So I said, screw it. I got in my car, drove to the damn funeral home, sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes with a Starbucks iced Americano sweating in my hand, and thought, what the hell am I doing? I wasn't dressed for it. Wore Levi's, a plain tee, and a hoodie. No black tie, no respectful attire, whatever that means. At first, I told myself I just wanted to see it, to witness it. I guess I needed proof that this wasn't some elaborate play for sympathy. Spoiler, it wasn't. I walked in, stood at the very back behind the last row, didn't sign the book, didn't say anything to anyone, just watched. There was a tiny white casket. Everyone was crying. Her friends, his friends, even some people I didn't recognize. My wife, ex-wife, was sitting in the front row, flanked by my brother and my mom. My mom held her hand. That was the moment. That was the moment I knew we were done. Not just her and me, not even just my brother and me and them, all of them. Because I was there standing 20 feet away, and my mother, who once told me, "No woman is ever gonna be good enough for my baby boy," was comforting the woman who destroyed my marriage. Then it got worse. After the service, people stood around in little clusters, crying and whispering. I turned to leave. Thought I'd seen enough, but then I heard, "Hey!" It was my brother, walking toward me. His hair looked like he hadn't slept. He was pale, like really pale. He looked like someone had drained the soul out of him. He said, "You came." I said, "Not for you." He said, "Still, thank you." And then, no joke, he opened his arms like he was going to hug me. I laughed. I legit laughed, right in his face. Not a chuckle. A full-body, exhausted, disbelieving laugh. People turned and stared. He stood there, arms halfway raised, looking like a complete jackass. Then his face twisted and he said, "You're disgusting. You don't care about anyone but yourself." I said, "Yeah, must run in the family." He called me a sociopath, said I had no heart, said the baby died because of all the hostility I brought into their lives. I didn't say a word, just walked out, got in my car, sat there for a while, then drove home and picked up my kids from school like it was any other Tuesday. Later that night, my mom called again. I didn't pick up. She texted, "I can't believe you laughed at your brother's pain. You're better than this." I texted back, "No, I'm exactly this. You just never saw it before." She hasn't responded since. And honestly, I slept fine that night. Best sleep I'd had in months. But now I'm getting the guilt trip. From cousins, from family friends. Even got a freaking email from some aunt I haven't talked to in 5 years saying grief makes people act out, and I should show compassion. I get it. A baby died. It's awful. I'm not denying that. But am I supposed to fake feelings I don't have for people who never gave a damn about mine? So after the funeral, things were quiet. Too quiet. No texts, no calls, no drive-bys. Nothing from my parents, which should have felt like peace, but actually just made me more paranoid. You ever get that feeling like the silence means someone's planning something? It wasn't until 2 weeks later that the other shoe dropped, and it landed on my damn face. Let me back up. Since the divorce process started, I had temporary primary custody of the kids. They live with me. She gets weekend visitation, alternating holidays. The court agreed that 2.5 hours one way was too far for regular custody swaps. Not to mention how unstable her living situation was. Reed shacked up with my brother in his dusty-ass apartment above a vape shop. But lately, I noticed my 9-year-old Ellie acting weird, withdrawn, tense. She's usually the first to tell me if someone at school looked at her funny. But now, she'd go quiet when I asked about her weekends with their mom. At first, I thought maybe she's just sad about the baby. I mean, even if it wasn't her sibling technically, she thought it was for a while. That messes with a kid. But then, while brushing her teeth one night, she goes, "Dad, if Mommy and Uncle Ryan get married, does that make him our stepdad?" I froze, toothbrush midair. I said, "Why are you asking that?" She said, "Grandma said we should start calling him Uncle Dad, because that's what he's gonna be soon." I swear I almost swallowed my own molars. I said, "Your grandmother told you that?" She nodded. She said families change, and that you'd be okay with it once you weren't mad anymore. I didn't sleep that night. Next morning, I called my mom, straight to voicemail. I called again, nothing. Then she texted me, "Can we please talk in person? I think things are getting twisted." I replied, "Twisted. You told my children to call my brother Uncle Dad. You don't get a coffee chat after that." She never denied it. Instead, she pulled the classic manipulative mom move. She sent me an old baby photo of me and my brother in matching overalls and captioned it, "You used to be so close." Like that erases what he did. I was this close to blowing up, but I didn't, because now I had to focus. If they were saying stuff like that to my kids during visitation, I needed documentation, proof. So I started recording our custody exchanges. Not the illegal kind, just me with my phone in my shirt pocket, audio running. I started asking more questions in the car after pickup. Nothing too obvious, just casual stuff like, "What did you do this weekend?" or "Did Grandma come over?" And slowly the stories came out. Mommy cried a lot. Uncle Ryan yelled at a guy at Target. Grandma said you need to forgive people because hate is a poison. And then, the kicker, my 7-year-old son Leo told me, "Uncle Ryan said you're not a real dad because you're always mad and don't let mommy be happy." I swear I had to grip the steering wheel so hard I thought it might crack in half. I sent all of this to my lawyer. Every recording, every quote, every single Uncle Dad reference. She said, "This might be enough to push for supervised visitation." I said, "Do it." And the backlash? Oh, it came quick. 2 days after the court notified them, my brother showed up at my house, unannounced, pounding on the door. My kids were upstairs, thank God. I opened the door, didn't even say anything. He was red-faced, said I was using the courts as a weapon, said I was destroying their family. I said, "Funny, you didn't seem to care about families when you were banging my wife." He shoved me. That was the last mistake he made that day. I didn't hit him. I'm not that dumb, but I did call the cops, reported the whole thing, gave them the ring cam footage, got a temporary restraining order the next morning. And now, for the first time in this entire mess, I felt like I was finally gaining some control back. But of course, nothing is ever that simple. Because 3 days later, I get a call from CPS. Apparently, someone anonymously reported that I was emotionally abusive, vindictive, and weaponizing the children against their mother. The caseworker sounded almost apologetic. She said, "I'm just doing my job." I said, "Yeah, well, I hope you're also checking the calls from that side of the family, because they're playing a nasty game." I had nothing to hide. My kids are healthy, happy, in therapy, well-fed, well-loved. My house is boring and quiet and filled with dinosaur books and slime containers and half-eaten goldfish crackers. Still, I know who made that report, and I'm not stupid. They're trying to wear me down. So I sat down that night, poured myself a glass of whiskey, and wrote out a list. Finish custody paperwork, report CPS, false claim, cut contact with parents for good, talk to the kid's therapist about the Uncle Dad thing. And last on the list, stop hoping these people will ever apologize, because that hope, it's the last thing that keeps you tethered to the wreckage. So yeah, CPS came. Not a full raid or anything, but it still shook me. This woman shows up at my door at 8:30 a.m. with a clipboard and a calm but suspicious smile, asking if I have a few minutes to talk. My kids were still in pajamas, watching Paw Patrol, eating dry cereal like tiny gremlins. I said sure, invited her in, gave her coffee, showed her the playroom, the pantry, the fridge, the bedrooms, pulled out their schoolwork, therapy notes, even a crayon drawing Leo did of our family that had just me and the kids. She asked me a bunch of questions about discipline, routines, emotional regulation, whatever the hell that means, and if I talked negatively about their mom. I said only when they're not in the room, and I keep it PG. She cracked a smile. She didn't say it outright, but I could tell she knew this report was BS. Still, protocol is protocol. She had to interview the kids. Ellie told her all about her sticker chart for chores. Leo gave a monologue about the exact number of marshmallows he gets in hot chocolate. My youngest, Max, just showed her a booger. So, we crushed it. After she left, I didn't hear anything for a few weeks, which apparently is a good sign. But then, out of nowhere, my lawyer calls me on a Thursday afternoon and says, "Hey, are you sitting down?" I was at my desk eating leftover Chipotle. I said, "Do I need to be?" She says, "Your ex just filed paperwork to voluntarily terminate her parental rights." I choked on a piece of chicken. Let me be clear. This woman has fought me at every turn. She tried to take the kids. She lied to the court. She sent me hate texts for months. And now she wants out? I asked, "What's the catch?" My lawyer said, "Honestly, none that I can see yet. Maybe the grief, maybe the relationship with your brother's falling apart. Maybe she just broke. Some people do." I didn't believe it, not for a second. But part of me, a small, stupid, hopeful part, thought maybe she was doing the right thing. Maybe she finally realized the kids were better off. So we started prepping the paperwork. I didn't tell the kids right away. I wanted to be sure it was real. But then, 2 days before the finalization hearing, she showed up at my door. Not a call, Not a text, just knock knock. There she was. Eyes puffy, hair pulled back like she hadn't slept in days. My brother wasn't with her, I didn't let her in. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me and said, "What do you want?" She said, "I made a mistake." I said, "Which one?" She looked down, said, "All of them." Then she asked, "Can I just see them? I miss them so much, please, just for a minute." I told her no. I said, "You're 2 days away from signing away your rights. You chose this, now you're backing out?" She started crying, said my brother left, said he couldn't deal with the sadness anymore, said she was all alone, that her parents blamed her, that she just needed something to hold on to. And that's when I finally understood. This wasn't about the kids. This was about her. She didn't want to be a mom again. She wanted to be wanted again, needed, pitied. And when she realized being childless wasn't going to magically heal her, she came crawling back to the people she left behind. I told her, "You can't pick and choose when to be a parent. You don't get to tap in and out like it's recess." She begged. I held the line. The next day, she withdrew the termination request. My lawyer called me and said, "I'm sorry, but she has every right to do that. She's still their legal mother." And now we're back to square one. Visitation resumed, supervised this time, thanks to the uncle-dad situation. But still, I had to explain to my kids why mommy disappeared for weeks, then came back. Ellie asked, "Is she gonna leave again?" Leo said, "Maybe she just needed a long nap." And I didn't know what to say. Because what do you tell your kids when the truth is, yeah, she probably will, but you still have to teach them how to love, how to forgive, how to survive people who break your heart and then ask for it back. I'm exhausted. And the worst part? My mom texted me yesterday. "Told you she'd come around. You just had to give her time. Families heal." I didn't reply. Because this isn't healing. It's just dragging the wound open again and again. I wish I could tell you I kept my cool, that I stayed strong, kept things classy, played the long game, but I didn't. I snapped. Here's how it started. After my ex backed out of terminating her parental rights, my lawyer and I started strategizing again. The visitation schedule was back, supervised for now, thank God, and I was trying to stay neutral, especially around the kids. But then I found out that during one of the supervised visits, my mom showed up. She wasn't scheduled, she wasn't on any list, she just arrived. The supervisor called me after, said, "Look, I didn't want to overstep, but your mother insisted she was family and that you'd be fine with it." I wasn't. I drove to my parents' house that night. The kids were at a friend's birthday party. I hadn't seen my parents face to face since the funeral mess. I pulled up, didn't knock, just walked in like I used to. My mom was in the kitchen making some weird kale smoothie thing. My dad was in his recliner watching the History Channel like it was live sports. They both looked up like I was a ghost. My mom smiled. "You look tired." I said, "You took my daughter to see her mom." She blinked. "Well, I happened to be there when—" "No, you inserted yourself into a supervised visit and lied about it. That's not nothing." She tried to play innocent, said she was just trying to help, said the kids needed consistency. And then she said it, the line that made my brain go dark. "You're making this harder than it needs to be. Your brother made a mistake. He didn't kill anyone." I lost it. I said, "No, he didn't kill anyone. He just blew up my entire life, destroyed his own family, got my wife pregnant, and then blamed me when they lost the baby." My dad muttered, "It's been months. Maybe it's time to let it go." I snapped back, "You know what? Fine. You want to talk about what he did? Let's really talk about it." Then I said it, the thing I'd been holding back for years. "Do you know he tried to kiss her the year we got married?" My mom froze. "Yeah," I continued. "Back when we were still in that shitty one-bedroom apartment and he was crashing on our couch, I walked in on him half drunk, leaning in while she was folding laundry. She shoved him off, said it was nothing, said he was just drunk and sad." My mom whispered, "Why didn't you tell us?" I laughed. "Because I didn't want to ruin the family. Because I figured it was a one-time thing, but guess what? It wasn't." My dad finally turned off the TV. I wasn't done. I said, "I protected him. And then he repaid me by screwing my wife, knocking her up and gaslighting me for a year while you all sat around acting like I was being difficult. So no, I'm not gonna let it go. I'm not gonna make this easier. I'm done protecting him." There was silence for a full minute. Then my mom said the most honest thing she's ever said in her life. "We sided with him because we knew he couldn't survive without us. But we knew you could." And there it was. Not loyalty, not fairness, just survival math. He was the broken one, the fragile one, the one who always needed help with rent, with job interviews, with getting his shit together. I was the strong one, the responsible one, the parent, the solid oak. They assumed I'd take the hit and keep standing. They were wrong, because the next morning I made a mistake that I'll regret for the rest of my life. I was still angry, raw, sleep-deprived. And Ellie, my sweet, overthinking 9-year-old Ellie, asked me, why don't we see Grandma and Grandpa anymore? And I said too much. I said, because they chose someone who hurt me. Over and over. She said, Uncle Ryan? I nodded, didn't give details, just enough to plant the seed. Later that night, I heard her crying in her room. I went in. She was curled up under the covers, clutching one of those dumb stuffed animals from Build-A-Bear that still smells like birthday cake. I sat on the edge of her bed. She said, if they chose Uncle Ryan, does that mean he's more important than me? I felt something break inside me. I tried to walk it back, said it's complicated, said adults mess up, said families are messy. But she just looked at me, eyes red, and said, you said he hurt you, and they're still on his side. So how do I know they won't do that to me? I didn't have an answer, because she wasn't wrong. The next day I called the kid's therapist, told her everything, set up a session just for Ellie, and now I'm sitting here typing this, wondering if I just passed down my damage, if I broke the cycle, or just twisted it into a new shape. It's been 9 months, the baby's due date came and went, my brother and ex still live together, or at least they did the last time I checked. I stopped asking. Supervised visitation is still in place. She shows up, smiles, plays with the kids like nothing ever happened, bakes cookies, brings toys, cries in the car after. I don't stop her, but I don't feel bad either. And my parents? I went no contact. I didn't send a dramatic final message. No, I'm done with this family text. I just faded out. Let the silence speak. They still try. Birthday cards for the kids, packages on holidays, a couple emails. One said, I hope one day you'll see this wasn't about choosing sides, it was about saving what we could. I didn't reply, because they never once asked how I was doing in any of those messages. Not once. All they want is to be seen as still trying, not actually accountable. And the truth? I'm tired of carrying everyone else's shame. My brother never apologized. Not really. He sent one half-assed message months ago that said, I know I messed up, but I was in love. You can't control that. Yeah, man. You can't control who you boned behind your brother's back for 2 years. As for my ex, she's in therapy now. Her version of penance. She occasionally sends me walls of text at 2 a.m. that swing between, I'm so sorry and you ruined everything. I don't respond to those either. But here's the twist you probably didn't expect. I made a mistake too. After everything, the betrayal, the lies, the CPS report, I got involved with someone. Someone great, actually. Funny, kind, thoughtful. My kids liked her. She didn't try to mom them. She just showed up gently, like someone who wanted to help carry the weight. It lasted 5 months. Then one night she asked me, if everything went back to normal, if they apologized, if your parents begged, would you let them back in? I told her the truth. I said, yeah, probably, because deep down, I still want them to choose me. She didn't say anything, just nodded. But I think that broke something. 3 weeks later, she left. She said I wasn't ready, said I was still tangled up in the trauma, still waiting for someone to come back and fix it. And she was right. That was 6 weeks ago. Since then, I've focused on the kids. Ellie's doing better. Still has questions. Still worries I'll leave like everyone else. But she says them out loud now, and I answer every time. Leo made a No Uncle Dad poster for his bedroom. I didn't tell him to, but I didn't take it down either. Max just wants ice cream. He's 4. He's the only one who gets to be innocent in all this. I don't hate their mom anymore. I don't forgive her. I don't trust her. But I don't hate her because hate is loud and exhausting, and it makes you feel like you're still in the fight. And I'm done fighting. A few days ago, Ellie asked me, are we ever going to be a real family again? I said, we already are. Not perfect, not traditional, but real. Just us. Wounded, messy, still standing. That's the thing about life blowing up. You get to decide what you build in the rubble. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all any of us get. Thanks for watching. If you liked the story, hit subscribe. See you in the next one.